Yes, people, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV. In this episode, I'm going to talk about a prisoner who tried to murder a prison officer. I will upload the video shortly, but before I get into it, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my subscribers for your continuing support. The numbers are rising every week and the views are getting much better, so thank you all for your continuing support. But this offence happened in HMP Bullingdon, which is in Bicester. And HMP Bullingdon is a Category C prison. And the inmate I'm talking about is Kevin Jones, who has just been sentenced to an additional 14 years for the attempted murder of a prison officer. But I'll just show you the video here now. But as you can see in the video, the prison officer reacted very sharply. Obviously, they're trained for these sort of things. But luckily for him, he was on high alert this day. So when Kevin Jones has come up behind him with a makeshift knife, it was a plastic knife sharpened up into a spike. And he comes up behind the prison officer and he tries to stab him in the neck. But if it wasn't for his quick actions, he would have been seriously hurt. But as you can see, the prison officer twists him up and they all jump on him and pin him down. But Kevin Jones had a grudge against the prison officer and he was just stalking him that morning and he was waiting to pounce on him. Now, this happened in July 2021, but obviously it's just getting to court last month, I think it was, and this is when he's been sentenced to the additional 14 years. But I do believe he would have gotten a life sentence for this had it not have been for his mental health, because he's now in Broadmoor Hospital. So this must have went a long way in the decision when they were sentencing him, because if you attempt to murder a prison officer, you are getting a big, hefty, lengthy prison sentence. You're probably looking at a life sentence if you try to attempt to murder a prison officer whilst he's on duty in prison. But like I've mentioned, he's now in Broadmoor, so maybe psychiatric reports and he's maybe diminished responsibility or something, because if he was a normal or acting out in normal circumstances without the mental health, he would have been given a life sentence. But like I say, HMP Bullingdon is a Category C prison, and most of these serious offences, when inmates and officers are getting attacked and attempted murders, it's normally in the high security prisons. But every day up and down the country, prisoners and prison officers are getting attacked. It's just a normal everyday occurrence, violence and people, prison officers or staff and prisoners getting attacked in prisons, because this is what happens in prisons. A lot of people say prison's easy, it's nothing. But if you're in prison and you've got trouble, and it is a very volatile and dangerous place, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Category C, Category B, or Category A, or even a Category D, which is an open prison for that matter, violence happening in all of these prisons up and down the country. And there's more so violence in the Category C's than there is Category A's, because the Category high security prisons, when the violence kicks off, it's like extreme violence where it could be attempting to murder you, stabbed in the neck, stabbed in the eye, hot oil chucked over you. Whereas in the Category C prisons, the violence is more often, it's nigh on every day something is happening in these prisons. It's more lively because there's more drugs, there's more hooch, the lads are more dafter, if you can just say that, because they're in these type of prisons, you've got like prisoners that are so used to being in prison, in and out all the time, they don't take it serious. They're just going on daft and fighting constantly. There's fights every single day in the Category C prisons. But again, like I mentioned, normally, a lot of the time when it's fighting, it's normally just fisticuffs, like fighting with the fists. There is a lot of slashings in these Category C prisons as well. But the violence isn't as extreme as what it is in the high security and the category is. But prison officers are getting attacked on a daily basis as well in these prisons. And there was also another video that was circulating of two prisoners that attempted to murder a prison officer in HMP Whitemoor. And these were two radical Muslims that wanted to make a statement, and they were actually planning to behead the prison officer in HMP Whitemoor. And for that, they got life sentences on top of their already sentences. So they were serving a substantial sentence on the already existing sentence. But whilst I was reading up on this case, it was saying last year throughout the prison system, prison officers putting in for compensation for attacks that happened on them amounted up to £12 million that was paid out to prison officers up and down the country. But Kevin Jones, getting back to that case, when he got his 14 years, I now believe if you get a 14-year sentence or anything over 4 years, I believe, I'll have to research this up and do another video on it. But your sentence did used to get halved. So if you got a 14-year, you would do 7 years and then 7 years on license. But it's now went to 2/3, like it used to be. It used to be 2/3 years ago, but then they changed it to half. But now it's 2/3 again. So out of the 14 years, he's going to be serving now on 10 years. But he'll probably be in Broadmoor, getting medicated up and getting assessed and getting the help that he probably needs whilst he's in there, because he's going to have a release date and he's going to be getting released back onto the streets. And if he's that dangerous and he's that volatile whilst he's in prison, they'll be wanting to make sure that he's not going to act out the same behaviour when he's out in the community. But I also believe the likes of Kevin Jones, who's in Broadmoor, if they think that he is still a risk after he has served his sentence, they can get what's called a court order to say that he needs sectioning. Because I have heard of lads before that have been in prison, and one of them is actually a subscriber that sent us an email telling us all about this, that he actually had a couple of days left on his sentence, but he must have been seeing a psychiatrist whilst he was in prison, and he was still deemed a risk. So in the middle of the night, they came and shanghaied him, took him out and sent him on his way to Broadmoor. He didn't even know where he was going until he actually got there. And when he got there, they said that he was getting sectioned under the Mental Health Act. And when that happens, you no longer have a release date, so they can detain you and keep you for as long as they think is necessary to prevent any further injuries or anything happening to members of the public. Because if you can imagine, if you got someone in prison saying they're going to get out and kill somebody, they're going to kill innocent people or whatever, then they're not just going to let these people back out onto the streets. So they get the court order, they get them sectioned, and they get sent off to a mental hospital just to protect members of the public if some of these people are saying what they're going to do when they are released. But I'll leave that one there for now, people. I just thought I would bring that to the attention because it's just popped up in my news feed that he's just recently been sentenced for this attack on the prison officer on the attempted murder. But if you are enjoying the content, people, remember to like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.